I'm sure no one thought of that. When I saw the film for the first time, I remember watching it and thinking, ooh, now they're at nighttime. Look how much cooler it looks now. Ooh, now they're underwater. It even looks cooler. And I know that you really avoided doing many of the, things flying in people's faces in 3D. But what would you say at the same time is kind of the most show-offy sequence of the movie? I would say it's probably the underwater part.
Well, interestingly, some people almost think they're underwater in the scene where the wood sprites are landing all over Jake and floating around and coming past the lens, and you're in the viewer space. I mean, the wood sprites are in the viewer space with you, and I see sometimes people, like kids trying to grab them and so on. But really, even though I knew it was a fun 3D scene, it wasn't really there as a 3D scene. It's such an important story moment, I guess I didn't really realize what a 3D scene it was until after we were done. And it's still a scene where people sort of connect with the kind of spirituality of the film, or whatever it is. They connect with the ideas of the movie in that scene. It's such an important scene. So I never really stuck something in to just be a 3D moment. There isn't the kind of like in Andy Warhol's Frankenstein with the spear that comes out with his liver kind of hanging on the end of it, that hangs there for about 45 seconds. I mean, the film plays really well in 2D. There's nothing where we're hanging long on a shot just because it's a 3D shot.
You must have a ball listening to people kind of project different politics on this movie. It's a conservative film. It's a liberal film. I'm curious as to how much the kind of political statements or environmental statements are implicit in the film, and how much of them are just byproducts of the plot lines.
Well, look, I mean, the plot is there to tell a story, to make a point. I mean, first of all, you tell a story to tell a story, and to go on an adventure, and it's this character journey and so on. The film works at many levels, but I mean, one of my reasons for making the film was to express certain things that were important to me about the world and our stewardship of it, and the natural world with its unbelievable biodiversity and so on, meaning our earthly world. And if we have to connect to that somehow by going to another planet and seeing people there who believe more strongly in that than we do, it's not really about humans versus Na'vi. It's about the Na'vi representing that better part of ourselves that resonates with us when we watch the movie, and the humans in the story are representing that more venal or corrupt side of ourselves that feels a sense of entitlement and ownership of the natural world without giving anything back. So, we're watching the movie as human beings. We're watching these kind of two poles of our own experience. That's all there for a reason. So, when the pundits jump in, and what I really especially love is the conservative pundits, the non-conservationist conservative pundits who just basically assume that anything that was said was done by accident. They couldn't have really meant this, because they're fatuous Hollywood liberals.
So much of what's interesting about the movie is kind of the tribal culture, if you will, of the Na'vi. How much of any of that is grounded in different tribal cultures that you might have researched while you were putting this together?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we did a tremendous amount of research. I did some research when I was writing, and we did a lot more research through the art department to find visual touchstones for bits of wardrobe, beading, face painting, hairstyles, ornamentation, tools and weapons and so on. We did, well, from a number of different sources, because we didn't want to locate it in any one place and say it's exactly, the Sioux, or exactly the Yanomami Indians in South America or anything. So we took from all these different indigenous cultures. We had photos from thousands of National Geographic shoots up all around the walls, and we took a bit from this and a bit from that. Sort of tried to spread the love around, so to speak. Because the thing is that you're trying to create an alien civilization, but some of the cultural diversity right here, even within recent memory, where you can actually go out and take a photograph of it, as opposed to some anecdotal story from 3 centuries ago or some drawing. It's incredible. I mean, if we went that far, you wouldn't be able to even connect with the people. If you look at some of the some of the tribal, disfiguring, scarification stuff and things that they do in Papua New Guinea and so on. If we went that far, it would be too alien. So the human imagination in terms of how people ornament themselves and individuate themselves in these different cultures, we just found it absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. We actually had to rein back a little bit from what's available right here in terms of some of the wardrobe stuff. I mean, one of the hardest things was doing costumes that would play in a PG-13 movie for an American audience. So because most, certainly in the rainforest or any of the tropical regions, the indigenous culture, they don't have the same kind of modesty that we do. They have incredibly intense ornamentation around the head and the face and the neck and the hairdo and all that, and then nothing.